there's so many, you know. Does there have to be one? You've got to give me a handful, haven't you? You've got to give me a handful. 3, right. I wouldn't be without size 8 choddy hooks. For the last 2 years or so I've used them almost exclusively for coated hook links and chod rigs, and they're just, yeah, it seems to, the hook to land ratio on them is phenomenal. They're sharp, and that's all I want from a hook, you know. If I get the bite and it stays in, then I don't need to worry about anything else. The next bit of kit that's probably improved my angling over the last few years has been obviously the Tempest bivvy. The speed of erection and the extra space inside is just, I'm not one of these people that thinks that a small bivvy's carpy, you know. I want to be comfortable in a session, so the bedsheet goes right deep. I can have all my cooking gear and that in front of me, and yeah, the fact that I can have space and comfort and speed is, yeah, that's definitely changed my fishing. So what else would I say I couldn't do that? It'd certainly be a set of salopettes, you know, in any sort of cold weather, whether it's autumn, spring, or like the depths of winter. You know, there's nothing worse than your t-shirt coming untucked from your trousers, and that draft gets into your lower back. And that's the thing I notice most when I'm not wearing salopettes, is where I get cold around there. So yeah, they're a vital bit of kit. I have them with me at all times of year, and yeah, they just keep you toasty. Pack up and move, you know. Camping, you know, you can do that in your back garden. You know, like, I'm at my happiest when I've seen one, I've just cast out, and I think I'm going to get a bite any second. You know, I don't mind the waiting as well, you know. I enjoy being on the bank, but you can't beat that feeling of knowing fish are in your swim, knowing they're active, knowing that your rig's in the right spot, and that you've got the chance of a bite any second. You just can't beat that. I'd say little and often. Every time that I've tried to use bait to generate a hit, as in I thought, I'm going to go down there, I'm going to put loads of bait in, and then I'm going to sit on it, it never materialises for me. You know, the best hits I've ever had have been, I've put out a little bit for a bite, I've got one, and I've redone it again and got another one. I think especially when boilies are concerned, you put too many of them out, and it takes them just longer to get through them and get to your hook bait. So we're not trying to feed them, we're trying to catch them. So yeah, little and often, definitely.
Whenever.
Depends on the time of year, really. The one thing that I've noticed over the years is that spring and summer bites tend to be in the morning, generally, not all the time, but generally they'll be in the morning from first light till 10, 11 o'clock, and autumn bites tend to be in the dark, and that's how I'd sort of say. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a big one, so I'd say I've had most of my big ones during daylight. I've had the odd big one at night. Most certainly, if I could have been born 10 years earlier, I certainly would. A, house prices were cheaper, and B, I caught Mary in the Black Mirror and all those other lovely blue carp that used to exist, but unfortunately that's just the way it is. Oh yeah. Firstly, there's a day ticket water near Stansted. It's about 1 acre to 2 acres in size. It's got 50 carp in it and an average depth of 3 feet. And for the rod hours and the amount of time I had fish swimming over my rigs, it used to absolutely break me. Generally fished it in the winter, but you always knew where they were. I used to see them and stuff. But yeah, sometimes you'd catch when you'd see nothing, and other times you'd see 50 shows and catch nothing. So there was just no rhyme or reason. Looking back, I think a little bit of it was to do with people pre-baiting and the fish were overfed and they managed to feed on your baits at night and stuff. But yeah, that water, for the stock and the size of it, was far harder than I could ever have imagined. Other than that, Conningbrook was a bit of a headbanger. The fish were done, they got on the wind like you'd expect on a sort of open pit like that. But they spent most of their time feeding in the upper layers, and because we all thought that two-tone wouldn't get caught on the zig, we all fished on the bottom, so it was quite infuriating knowing that you had fish jumping out all over you and you might as well be at home.